Hey, how's it
Yo,
going?
how dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Good man, how are you? Oh
Doing
man,
very
my
well.
fucking hair's a disaster. Whatever. Hair's just hair.
So, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Just hanging out. Wrote a little premiere for Decibel earlier today. Now I'm gonna go back and do some research on some stuff, and hopefully that turns out well. Then yeah, that's it, man. I'm here right now. So how are you?
I'm doing good. So
Oh
let
yeah.
me get it started. So, tell me a little something about yourself.
Like what I do, kind of thing.
Yeah, like anything like that. Yeah.
Cool. My name is Bradley ZorgDrager. I do album reviews for Banger TV. I am also the metal and hardcore editor for Exclaim magazine, which is Canada's only music magazine still in print and available across the entire country. Actually, let me get back to Banger TV real quick. Banger TV is a YouTube channel for Banger Films, which has made films like Metalhead Banger's Journey, Global Metal, Iron Maiden Flight 666. More recently, they did a documentary on Z-Top, Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix. So yeah, we do metal album reviews and interviews primarily. So I'm on that. I'm also a freelance journalist, primarily writing about music for like websites like Hard Noise, Bandcamp, Decibel, Kerrang, Metal Injection, etc. I tour with bands sometimes. I work at a venue when the world's not crazy. Yeah, sell merch, tour manage, production manage shows. I make all my money from music, which is cool, but stressful sometimes, but cool.
Awesome. So, what got you into metal? What actually got you wanting to actually explore what metal was all about?
Shit, man. I mean, it was kind of like a it was like a kind of like a steady decline, right? So like, the first CD that I ever bought was with my own money was Sum 41's All Killer No Filler, which is obviously like a pop punk band, but they had like some metal influence going on there. It kind of got me, I didn't realize it at the time, but maybe got me a little bit into that. And then, after that, kind of like the screamo stuff, got popular. So, you hear some of that and you kind of get a little bit more into screaming, and then you get more into screaming and more into screaming, and then suddenly it's like you're listening to metalcore, and then you're listening to death metal, and then you're listening. Yeah, so it kind of just, it just came from perpetually trying to find the next heaviest thing, I guess. And then now it's kind of hilariously, I either listen to like the most craziest shit, or I just don't listen to heavy stuff at times. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to listen to anything heavy right now, but when I listen to heavy stuff, it's like crazy shit. Like the premiere that I did for Decibel today was a band called, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's called Dearth, like Dearth, like death with an R in it. And it's just like black/death metal, like some Dead Congregation, Deathspell Omega, Incantation, Antaeus kind of vibes. Like, it's pretty crazy. So it's like, I like that stuff, but then it's like other times I'm just like, I'm just going to listen to Sum 41, so whatever.
So, how's it actually like working with Banger TV? Actually.
It's cool. It's cool, man. I mean, the hardest part I would say is that there are so many albums. There's a bunch of us reviewers, and there's a lot of albums that we wish we could cover, and we unfortunately can't cover them all the time. There are just limited resources. So I think that that's the only bad part, is that in any given week, all of our reviewers might want to review an album, but we can only do one. Right. So that's the only downside, because we take our product very seriously and it has to be very professional. We're not just going to, start doing lower quality reviews to do more reviews. That's just not how the company operates. But other than that, man, it's cool. It gives me a big platform to talk about bands that I think deserve it. The thing, I could take or leave doing the negative reviews. I don't really get much joy out of saying something isn't good. It's an unfortunate side effect of the job, because all you can do is be honest, right? So if suddenly I was pulling punches just because I didn't care to give negative reviews, then my positive reviews wouldn't have the same impact. So unfortunately, I have to give negative reviews. It's nothing I enjoy doing, because that means I have to listen to an album I don't like a lot, which sucks because I'm not enjoying it. But yeah, overall, it's cool, man. I've gotten to do a lot of cool things because of it, so.
Awesome. So, what would you say is one of your favorite reviews you did actually for reviewing an album?
Oh man, I hate them all. I don't like watching my reviews because I don't like talking, or I don't like seeing myself on camera. No, that's not entirely true. Let me think. Actually, one sec. I have a playlist. I used to run a YouTube channel for Exclaim called Aggressive Tendencies, which is like the videos are still up there and there's some great videos. It's just it's not like an active one.
I'm just trying to smoke.
Oh shit, sorry. And I've got a playlist on there of all my appearances on Banger TV, so I can go check that and see what my favorite. See if I can find my favorite. I mean, most. Oh, shut up! I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, it's okay.
Most recently, I reviewed Black Dahlia Murder, which I was happy with that one. The Gate Creeper one, I was pretty happy with. I've heard from members of the band that it's one of the better reviews that they've gotten of their stuff, and that I kind of nailed a lot of their influences for the individual songs. The Slipknot one, I'm pretty happy about. Corey Taylor responded about that and reached out, and we got to go to their show and hang out with him and stuff. That was really cool. I like the Bring Me the Horizon one because it pissed a lot of people off. They're like, they're not metal. I'm like, I never said that they're metal. They're a band who came from that scene, and now they're not. So that's cool. Man, I don't know. There's so many. I mean, I really like the Vane. I did like a dual review where I reviewed Vane and Imperial Triumphant, and I really liked that one because those are two of my favorite albums of that year. The Genocide Pact one I like because they had me reviewing like a few albums that I wasn't really happy about. Like I did Asking Alexandria and I did Machine Head, and then they were like, okay, you can do another one. I was like, yo, I get to pick one this time. You're not making me do something that sucks again. So that was nice. I like the Exhumed one. Shut up. I like the Exhumed one that I did because there's a part in it where they make like a gurgling noise in the album, and I gurgled with like the energy drink that I was drinking, and I gurgled it like and it spit all down myself. Like I was gonna make a gurgling noise, and then one of the producers was like, "What if you just gurgled and spit it all over yourself?" And because I have no shame, I was like, "Yeah, sure, like whatever, like I'll do it." So I did it, and I thought that turned out pretty funny. Became a bit of a meme, and yeah, there's a lot that I'm proud of for some of the thing is, it's hard to remember what I'm proud of because a lot of what I'm proud of is like the small points that I make. So it's hard to remember like the individual, like really good comparisons that I made, or it's like I really like understood that song. The Dying Fetus one I did, I was really into that one. I think that one was really good. Man, I don't know. Like there's a lot. The Analmouth Rock one, I was happy just because I really like that album. As far as like the Overkill Global, we did the Quebec Tech Death one and the France avant-garde black metal one, and I'm just a big fan of both those genres, so I was happy about that. That new Whitechapel album is sick, like Everything Full of Hollows. I don't know, I could go on forever, but yeah, I don't know if I have a single favorite one because sometimes I like the whole thing that I did. Sometimes I like a couple specific points that I made. So it's all cool, man. It's all cool. If somebody watched it and they got enjoyment out of it, that's all I really care about. Nothing else really matters,
Awesome. So I was the one thing I want to ask actually. Are you jamming anything at the moment? Like, what's any music you've been listening to lately?
What have I been listening to, man? I miss the days of iTunes, over Spotify, because you'd have all like the recently added stuff up there that you could talk about what you've been listening to. I just wrote an article about August Burns Red. It's not out yet, but I wrote it recently, and because of that, I was like listening to their new album, and I was impressed. Like I kind of fell out with that band for a while, and I wasn't actively listening to them there, but they've always been good. But thought that was cool. Listening to a lot of Gorguts, Defeated Sanity. Man, what have I been listening to? One sec, maybe if I pull up Spotify on my phone. Spotify. I was listening to Black Dahlia Murder because I'm working on some stuff around them. The Acacia Strain. What else have I been listening to? Yeah, man. I mean, that's like a good encapsulation of like what I've been listening to regularly. I mean, I listen to songs here and there, but like if I were to pick a few bands that I've been listening to mostly the past few weeks, like that would probably be it.
Oh, no, that's a really
Probably
good. That's actually a very good selection. Those are a lot of my favorite bands.
hell yeah,
I know, because I like you said when he said like Gore Guts and Defeated Sandy. Like I've been listening to those guys for like so many years now.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Both great bands. Hell yeah.
Also, one thing I wanted to ask too. Also, like, how's it actually working with Sam Dunn actually during in the entire whole banger hanger?
It's cool, man. Sam's really nice. When I'm filming reviews, I don't see him. Usually he's off in his office doing his thing, and I'm off in the hangar doing my work. So it's like I work for his company, but I don't necessarily always directly work with him. But he's always cool. We always chat, and just shoot the shit. And he's a really nice guy, and obviously he's good at making movies and stuff. So yeah, man, yeah. I mean, I don't even know how I've done like some of those like end of the year things with him where like he talked about my stuff. But yeah, I don't usually work directly alongside him, but he's a really cool guy. So
Awesome. Because I gotta say, like, I've been watching like Banger TV for quite a while, and I love a lot of the reviews that you do too. You're absolutely amazing, man.
thank you. I try. I probably care too much, about what I do because it's we're dissecting somebody else's art and their work, so you gotta care. You gotta give it that level of respect. So I do my best to do that.
Of course, and I think you do great. Like, really, like it's people like you and everyone else in the whole Banger TV that make me feel very happy about what you do and what and exactly like like basically everything you guys do really make me happy, and I actually appreciate what you're doing for everyone.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Of course, because like I always look forward to like any reviews and any videos that come out of the channel because I'm like, yes, there's a new video.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Yeah, sometimes I start to wonder, what am I doing with my life? Because it's like there are people out there who are saving lives, literally. Like nurses and doctors and first responders and people who try to make the world a better place. They're over in third world countries doing stuff to improve quality of life over there and stuff. And I'm like, I talk about music about killing people on camera, like that's not really important. But then people tell me that they look forward to Friday and knowing that a new album review is coming out, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not changing the fucking world, but I'm bringing some people joy just by doing what I'm doing. So it's like I don't have to be a doctor. That's fine. I can contribute to the world in another way. So that's cool. I appreciate hearing that because it helps me keep my head on straight that there is value to doing what I do, even though it on paper my job is kind of silly. I talk about death metal. That's weird. That's not a job. But it is. So.
So, what would you say is actually your favorite genre of metal?
Man, that's a hard one. It changes. I'd say overall there's probably like three: death metal, metallic hardcore, like old school metalcore, like the chaotic stuff, and grindcore, and any fusions and whatever they're in. For example, I like deathcore a lot as well. Recently, I think deathcore has been really good. Bands like Brand of Sacrifice and Shadow of Intent. Um, so I any kind of like combinations of those three things I really like. I like black metal more as an influence on other things than I do straight ahead black metal. You're not going to find me very often listening to Mayhem, but you might find me listening to a band like The Secret, which is like Blackened Crust, or like a black/death metal kind of band. I think the evil and the darkness of black metal pairs well with a lot of things for me, but black metal as a whole is very rarely, especially traditional black metal. I like the weirdo stuff, like Deathspell Omega and Antaeus and Plebeian Grandstand, who have taken that sound in a little bit like different of a direction. So, but yeah, I mean overall, death metal, grindcore, metallic hardcore, any fusions there, and then if you put black metal into any other genre, it probably is going to make it better. So.
Awesome, because for me, I've been like on a black and death metal type of craze for quite a while now.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Because like for me, like when it comes to like good bands and good music, I always try to find like the best I can, and for what else I want to really listen to. Actually, that's something new, or just going back to a classic album.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because, we're in like this really weird time in the world. I've been kind of listening to a lot more of the comfort food music, the music that I'm already into because it's nice. It brings some level of normalcy to the world when everything else is really weird. So I've been listening to a lot of stuff that I've listened to before. Like I was saying earlier, I was listening to like Black Dahlia Murder. I was listening to Acacia Strain, Gore Guts and stuff, like bands that have been kind of like, I just like mainstays in my life, like things that I just like. I just like that, So it's like I don't necessarily feel the need to listen to everything new right now, because the stuff that I know is, it's just nice to listen to that right now. So
Oh yeah, of course. Also one other thing I wanted to ask actually, out of like everything that you worked with on Banger, what would you say like basically was one of like a very exciting experience, like something that you weren't expecting, but like it just happened at the moment?
I mean, the craziest thing, was when I tweeted at Corey Taylor about my Slipknot review, and he tweeted back, and then we started talking, and he invited us to the show, and we got to hang out, and he was very nice. That was really cool. He's genuinely like very nice guy, like very, very, very cool and accommodating, and got us great seats for the show, and was just like an absolute sweetheart. So that was cool because I wasn't even expecting him to respond. I was surprised when he said that he even responded, and then in his response that he said that he like watched it and he thought that I did a good job. That was cool. And then the fact that he went above and beyond and had us out as his guest to the show, that was pretty crazy. Beyond that, man, it's just kind of like in general, anytime that a band that I likes what I do. Like the first time that I posted on my Instagram story about Sanguisugabog, they responded to my story and were like, "Yo, we love your videos." And I was like, I didn't expect that, So that shit's cool when there's like a mutual respect there. It's like, I like your music, you like what I do in videos. Like that's really cool. Yeah, man. I mean, anything, any time that we can make any level of any level of difference in a band's career is cool by me.
Oh, that is actually no, I totally agree because I had that kind of like same experience too, actually, except it was like a message from David Vincent once. Actually, I remember just writing like a very nice comment to him, and then all of a sudden, like in the middle of the day, I got a response from him, and that was something I just never experienced. I actually never expected. Actually, ever, I didn't think he would ever write back or anything like that.
Hell yeah, that's sick. That's sick. I made a meme, a Morbid Angel meme once it's on my Instagram. I took him and replaced him. I replaced Robin Williams on the Flubber poster with David Vincent, and then instead of the Disney logo, I made it the Morbid Angel logo, and then instead of Flubber, it says "Where the Slime Live." And he didn't seem to think it was very funny, but oh well. I enjoyed it, and so did a lot of people. So if he doesn't think it's funny, that's all right. I'm sure he's a cool guy. But
Oh,
I haven't really spoken to him beyond that. He just commented on my photo, and so I made the comment. Ah, shit. Here, let me see what I said. Boop, boop, boo. I can't remember shit. So I made the caption on this. Here, I'll show it. So there's Where the Slime Live. It's backwards, but you see, you get the gist. And then I made the caption: the F album should have been called Formulas Fatal to the Flubber. And he commented and said, you do know I had nothing to do with the F album, right? Where the Slime Live is on the Domination album. I'm like, oh, I know. It's just a joke. I was just taking the piss and being a goof. But yeah, that's my only David Vincent interaction that I've ever had. But yeah, I love Morbid Angel, so respect.
oh yeah, same here for me too. No, and he is a phenomenal nice guy. That's one thing I really respect from him, and he's also influenced me a lot when it comes to death metal.
Hell yeah. Actually, that's one of those comparisons that I was saying that I made, like a comparison I was stoked on. When I was reviewing, not the most recent Full of Hell album, but the one from before, Trumpeting Ecstasy. Yeah. When I was reviewing Trumpeting Ecstasy, I made a comparison between their song Crawling Back to God and Immortal Rights by Morbid Angel. It's got like a similar kind of riff. And that was kind of one of those comparisons where I was just like, that was a good one. It's like you to be able to pull that comparison out of your ass, like out of thin air. You're like, this sounds like this. That was pretty cool. I was pleased with that. I thought that was an astute observation. And then I think Max Cavalera wrote something for Revolver or something saying, and he talked about that Full of Hell album, and he talked about Crawling Back to God reminding him of Morbid Angel, and I was like, me and Max Cavalera, we got the same thought. That was cool. So
Awesome. Oh, by the way, I like the shirt you're wearing. Actually, I like the banger actually on the
oh
shirt.
yeah, Yeah, dude, it's cool. I've got the other Riddick long sleeve too, but I don't have it with me right now, so I'm not wearing it right now. But yeah, this is the first Mark Riddick collaboration shirt we did for our Patreon, so I'm wearing it. It's not actually a long sleeve. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt underneath this, so I don't get cold. But
Yeah,
you know,
I remember actually seeing that shirt being actually shown actually. And I never had a chance to do anything about like trying to get one, but I think I kind of don't have the chance now. Actually, I think it's already past its due.
yeah, they were like you had to be on the Patreon for a certain amount of time. It was a kind of like a pre-order only kind of thing. So who knows, man? Maybe they'll come back in the future. I have no idea. That I have nothing to do with that. You know, the Patreon and selling merch. That's not me at all. I don't. That's not my department, so to speak. So, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Also, like I also saw that you actually were in one of J-Haw Films' videos. How did that go?
It was cool, man. I remember how we started talking. I think it was just like I saw some of their videos and thought they were funny, and then I went on their page and I went to their like about thing, their about information section on their YouTube channel or whatever, and I was like, "Yo, you're from Toronto? What the hell?" So I just messaged them and we started talking, and I threw out the idea for the metal detector, and they loved it, and we kind of went from there, and it was fun, man. It was fun. I think we're probably gonna, when the world's back to normal, we'll probably collaborate on more stuff. Uh, so yeah, man, they're fun. They're easy guys to get along with. Based on Chris's persona, thrasher and like true metal and stuff. I thought, I didn't know if he'd like me because I like a lot of metalcore and not like true metal, So it's like, but he's the nicest guy, man. Like we get along famously, even though I like some stuff that I'm sure he doesn't like, and he probably likes thrash metal 1,000 times more than I do. Even though I like thrash metal, but he like lives it. So, but yeah, he's the shit, and so is Julian. Like they're both, just fucking cool ass dudes, man. Just cool ass dudes.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I've been like watching their channel ever since like the early days before even Chris and was even on the channel. So actually, when I saw that you were on the one of their videos, I was like, oh my god, it's Bradley Zellweger from Banger TV. That's so awesome.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. And then we had Chris on an episode of Lockhorn's Redux as well on Banger TV. So that we're like crossing over and crossing paths, and hopefully helping each other grow. I think I don't really like a competition mindset. A lot of companies will be like, I can't work with that company because they're my competition. I don't really believe in that. I think if you do something good and it helps them out, and then down the line they do something good and it helps you out, like I think everybody just kind of wins. So I don't really like think in competition, which is probably why I'm not a businessman. But fuck it.
No, I totally agree with what you mean. Actually, it's always good to help somebody else, and also them helping you at the same time to build up more of a status and actually see where everyone both goes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I like making friends. I like to have friends. If I just like people. I like to talk to people and hang out with people, and if I can do something to help them, and then we get to become friends from it, sick. That's cool as hell. So
Oh yeah, of course. Like same here for me too. Like when you said that you like making friends, I'm 100% about that too. Actually, I really
oh
am.
yeah,
Like I feel like friendship is a very important aspect of my life, and also I like getting to know people and getting to like, especially people who like the same thing I do. Like it makes me feel happy to know that I can share my love for something with someone else as well and give them something back in return.
yeah. Honestly, man, like I like doing reviews, and I like that it starts conversations. But more than anything, I like having conversations about stuff. Like when my reviews come out, like I'm not saying that this is the be all end all fuck you period. Like I'm right. This is my opinion, and now you can take that and apply it to your own worldview, and then people will comment on the video and be like, I think like this, and then that'll shape how I listen to the music. I hear different things in it because other people hear different things in it, and I like that exchange more than I like being like this is the way things have to be. I don't really think like that. So for example, when I reviewed the Archspire album, the one song starts out with like a machine gun and like rapping over the machine gun, and I thought it was kind of I didn't like it. I felt it was kind of like forced in there. And then somebody in the comments explained that it was actually a direct homage to Tech Nine, the rapper, and a song that he did where he does the same thing. And Archfire's vocalist is very inspired by him in his percussive vocal flow, and that made me have a new appreciation for it, because I realized that despite it's not necessarily flowing exactly in the album for me, it's there for a reason. It's not just there as like a gimmick. So I thought that that was cool. So then I heard this other person's comment, which they were more aware of this Tech Nine song, and that kind of made me approach the album differently and have a different appreciation for it. So I think conversation is good, and I like to start conversations with my reviews. Like, that's cool if people get talking and they think three things I said were cool and three things that I said were complete bullshit. That's cool. Let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten some of my friends into like so many good albums actually, and it just blows them their minds to know how good actually my music taste in like certain genres of metal actually goes.
Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah.
Like, I don't know if you heard this band, but maybe you have. Have you heard of this? They're like an old '90s death metal band, but have you ever heard the band Regurgitation?
Hmm.
Like, have you listened to their Tales of Necrophilia album?
I think so, probably. Let me look it up. I got to see the artwork.
Sure, go right ahead. It's brand like Hell's Headbangers just like reissued it like not long ago. I think it was like somewhere during like late or early last year, but like it's become such a huge thing lately now, and I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that they dug up this old archive.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, no, no, no. I've heard this album. I've heard this album.
Like, oh, I was gonna say, ask, well, what is your opinion on it? Like, did you like it, or do you think it was like so-so?
It's cool, man. It's Cleveland. It's Cleveland death metal. I mean, I was in the description for it, and it said that one dude would go on to play with Embalmer. I saw Embalmer in Cleveland with Artificial Brain. What was it? Artificial Brain. Demolish headline, but it was Artificial Brain. Oh, what was the fucking? Yeah, Blood Incantation. So yeah, Embalmer opened, and then it was Artificial Brain and Blood Incantation, and then Demolish headline. That was crazy, and yeah, so that was cool. So yeah, like the dude went on to play an Embalmer, so that's cool as hell, dude.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, I became very obsessed with those guys ever since I heard that album, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta hear more. And then I found the other discography, and then I bought their T-shirt and all that.
Oh yeah, man! Another Ohio death metal band that's kind of, I think, got more hype from back in the day, and they got hype more recently, is Gutted.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, Gutted is great. Gutted is great, man. They're not from Cleveland. They're from Toledo, Ohio, but they're from the same state anyway, right? So another kind of old gem that was kind of brought to the surface, because I guess the internet allows people to be more. You can find stuff that would have been difficult to find back in the day. So
Oh yeah, I found like a lot of old like death metal and black metal archives that I never knew, and then all of a sudden I hear about it again, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know this album's getting a reissue.
yeah, hell yeah.
Also, like one other thing I wanted to ask actually. Oh, I remember also like seeing that you were also in those. They don't do that anymore actually. 'Cause I know that it changed now, but like the old Lockhorns actually. How did that go back then?
Lockhorns, like the deathcore one that I did.
Not just that one. I mean like the actually yeah the ones that you were in actually like the one like how did it go through like the whole process of trying to make it actually like happen during that time?
So the first thing that I ever did for Banger TV was the deathcore Lockhorns, essential deathcore bands, and the old metal editor at Exclaim from before me. I ended up taking the job when she stepped down, but she had appeared on Lockhorns, and she suggested that I would be good for it. So she contacted Lisa, said, "Hey, this guy Brad would be good for this." She messaged me some potential topics, or asked me to give her some genres that I would want to do, and then we settled on the deathcore one. And then I just showed up, and we did it. We debated live, and then it was cool, man. And then after that was when they asked me to try out to do the Overkill reviews. Sam used to do all of the reviews. It was all Sam, and that's not sustainable, because obviously he's busy making movies and all this other stuff. So they needed other people to do reviews. So they asked me if I would be interested in doing like reviews. So I tried out, and I guess I did good enough because they let me start doing them. And then, yeah, as far as the more recent Lockhorns, like Lockhorns Redux, Oh man, excuse me. The only difference is that I wasn't. It wasn't live streamed, right? So it was just us sitting down and having like a round table. So that was cool. That was fun as well. But yeah, the first Lockhorns was the first thing I ever did with Banger. So that Lockhorns is cool.
Oh yeah, no, I love Lockhorns actually. The funny thing is actually I remember watching a Lockhorns episode one time when I was like it was still me during college, and I remember during my free time watching like a live episode, and I caught it just in time, just before one of my other classes started. So that basically made my day during that when I saw that live.
Nice, hell yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's live, but we have people who view our stuff around the world, so it's always going to be there's always going to be a bad somewhere in the world where it's not a good time for them, right? Like if we're doing it at 4, like I have the times saved on my thing. So it's like if we're doing it at 4 in the 4 in the afternoon Eastern time, which is how we do it, then we have where is it? I posted it the other day. I don't know where it went, but I have the times, and in somewhere that's going to be like 3 in the morning. That sucks. Somebody has to either get up at 3 in the morning or stay awake until 3 in the morning just to tune in live. But we can't help that unless we get a time machine. So
Oh yeah, of course. But I gotta say, like, during the time when the other Lockhorns were live, like, I always look forward to like them always happening, because it's always good to see it like live happening, because then it gives more that excitement and atmosphere, so you can like join into it.
yeah. No, it was fun, man. It's just it's hard to execute live stuff. It's difficult. So I guess and then we got funding approved for the new format, so we're using the new format for now. I don't know if we'll ever do live again. I have no idea, but for now, I'm just glad that we can we can still make shows and people still watch it. So
Oh yeah, it's awesome actually, and also like what would you say is actually like one of your favorite deathcore bands, like out of like so many of the ones that you listen to?
oh, my favorite, like probably my favorite band in the world is Brand of Sacrifice right now. They're like my best friends, and I love them as people, as a band. They're just great, man. If we're talking like older deathcore bands, I always really liked Winds of Flag. I thought that they were really cool. Whitechapel. I like some of the more MySpace era kind of bands, like from the Carnival of Horrors, or like some Rose Funeral and Misericordium, more on like the brutal side of things. And shit, man, I could go on, but those are some of my favorites. But yeah, like recently, like modern stuff, I've got to go with Brand of Sacrifice. I've got to go with Shadow of Intent. They're great. I think they've almost more or less broken out of deathcore at this point. They were a deathcore band, and now they kind of, I guess, but they're more just like a modern metal band, which is cool. Modern metal band flavored with deathcore, and they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. They have a tour with As I Lay Dying, which is ridiculous. So hopefully that'll help them keep growing. And I really like Whitechapel. I really liked Whitechapel back in the day, and I really admire how they've kind of transcended deathcore, and like they've got clean singing and all this stuff. Like I don't know where Phil, when he learned to sing like that, but like shit, man, dude always had a good voice, like one of the most insane like growls and screams and stuff. But like I don't know where he learned to sing like that, but that's cool as hell too, man. Like yeah, but yeah, as far as like modern bands, like current bands, Brand of Sacrifice is absolutely the fucking shit. And then yeah, Shadow of Intent as well.
Awesome. To be honest, I never really heard of Brand of Sacrifice until just now.
Hell yeah, well check them out, man. I hope you like it. They're cool, man. They're a great band. They're great people, and their new album is gonna be fucking sick. So
Awesome. Also, like, have you? I think you may have heard this band, or maybe not actually. But have you heard of Infinite Annihilator?
oh yeah, dude, yeah, that band's sick. That band's cool as hell. I almost like forget about them being a deathcore band because they're so insanely like extreme and technical. But obviously they do have the brutal breakdowns and stuff. That band's cool as hell. I like them better over time. I like their more recent stuff better. I just think it's more adventurous. A little bit more like blackened influence and stuff like that. It's a little bit more. That's more my style than the earlier stuff was a little bit more like brutal. And I like the new stuff a lot. The old stuff's cool, but like the new stuff is like, I think it's really cool. My old roommate is like an alt rock kind of like pop rock guy. Like that's what he listens to. And we were in the car in the van once delivering the Exclaim magazine, and I was playing Infant Annihilator, and that's not his thing at all. Like the heaviest bands he usually listens to is like Trivium. That's like heavy for him. And so I played Infant Annihilator, and he was like, "This is actually really cool." And I thought that was cool. He likes, as far as bands that are like extreme, he liked Infant Annihilator and he liked Brand of Sacrifice. Those were like, he was like, you can just tell that there's more to the songs and more to the songwriting than a lot of these like bands that you're playing. So you might dig that. You might dig Brand of Sacrifice if you like Infant Annihilator.
Oh, okay. And after this interview, I'll definitely go check them out. Actually, now it's giving me like something to actually listen to now.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'll tell you what I think actually when I'm finished listening to it.
Hell yeah, please do. I'd be curious to know.
Oh, definitely. And also like I think you may have also maybe heard of this band or maybe not, but you heard of the band Annotations of an Autopsy?
Yeah, dude. Some of the guys from Ingested played in that band.
Ooh.
The first time that I saw Dying Fetus was a tour. It was Dying Fetus, Misery Index, Arsis, Annotations of an Autopsy, Conducting from the Grave. And I saw Annotations another time before that. It was Job for a Cowboy, All Shall Perish, Animosity, Annotations, and Hate Eternal was on the tour, but they had to drop off or couldn't play in the Canada dates or something. But yeah, I've heard Annotations. I like some of their stuff. I'm partial to, is it something Serpents? Like there's an album called like Serpents, or they weren't as deathcore on this album. They were a little bit more straight up death metal. Oh yeah, no, the song is called In Snakes I Bathe, but the album is called To the Reign of Darkness, and that was my favorite release from Annotations.
Nice, because I was listening to like I'm kind of remembering what the name of that album was, but I think I remember I listened to their first album and then the album I think I forget what it was called, but like it was like I think maybe it was their second album, and I'm surprised that for such a like for like their first album it was actually a lot heavier than I thought.
Yeah, man. Were you listening to the one that says she bled from every fucking hole? Is that the one you were listening to?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
that shit was. Yeah, man. It's funny. That shit was funny, but it did feel, a little bit more like maybe a little bit more gimmicky than they were after that. They felt like a little bit more of a serious band on the album after that, which is why I dug that one better. But that album definitely had a. I own that album. It's in the next room. I own it. But I think they came into their own a little bit more when they went in a little bit more of a death metal direction. Oh yeah, speaking of deathcore, I forgot to mention, and I got to mention it. It's Despised Icon, obviously fucking the Kings, like just one of the absolute best bands in deathcore. Just the most insane drumming and very innovative in the entire scene. So got to give it up to the Despised Icon.
I actually saw Despised Icon on the Straight Outta Hell tour, and I gotta say the crowd was like absolutely insane for that. For when they first came up on stage, it was crazy.
Who was on that tour?
It was like the Straight Outta Hell tour. It was with Suicide Silence was headlining. It was Oceano, Carnifex, and Despised Icon.
Oh, word. I didn't go to that, I don't think. Did I? Did that even come to Toronto? No, see, it didn't. It didn't. That's cool, man. I did see Despised Icon play with Carnifex, though. It was, who else played that? Let me look. Despised Icon, Carnifex. I think Lorna Shore played it. Yeah, Lorna Shore, Rings of Saturn, Fallujah, Carnifex, and Despised Icon. So I saw that tour. So I have seen a couple of those bands play together, and I have seen probably all of those bands over my life. What the hell was it? Straight Out of Hell tour. Who played it again?
It was Oceano, Suicide Silence, Carnifex, and Despised Icon.
Oh yeah. I've seen all those bands. I just didn't see them. I didn't see that entire package together. That's cool though. That's cool.
Oh, it was a sick show actually. That was like that was like the most crowded show I think I've ever been to ever. Like it was like the line was like throughout like from outside the venue to like over to like the next street and then the street after that.
Shit. Hell yeah. That's cool. That's rad.
Oh, it was great actually. I was surprised. I was like, man, I didn't know how this many people were really into like these bands so much. I wasn't expecting like I expected them to have like a ginormous and huge crowd, of course, but like I wasn't expecting like that many people to come that day.
Yeah, man, fucking Deathcore is coming back, dude. It's gonna come back. It's Brand of Sacrifice, Shadow Intent, all these bands are like, doing really cool things, and I think it's gonna get bigger than it's been in a while. There's more interesting stuff going on. It's not. I think for a long time, deathcore was kind of stuck and didn't know what it wanted to do. And when deathcore kind of stopped being death metal and it kind of started being like the heaviness of deathcore, but then they would pair it with like gent or what else? Yeah, they would pair it with gent or some other kind of genre. So it or down tempo deathcore. That like stuff. They're like we're a beatdown band. It's like no, you're a really slow deathcore band. So deathcore kind of went in a few different directions for a while, and I don't think any of them were nearly as cool as what the deathcore was in the beginning and what it is now. So I feel like it's gonna get bigger. It's going in that direction anyway, which is cool.
Now I really hope it does get bigger because I can see that there's a lot of good bands coming out, and I really want it to be explosive again, like it was back in the early 2000s.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
And also one other thing actually, I just thought of this right now. Actually, I was gonna ask like on the back then actually during the time like on the old Lockhorns, has there ever been like a segment like a genre that they wanted to do but they never really got to it, but like something that was like, oh, we should have talked about that but we never got to it.
Shit, man, I don't know, probably, but I didn't have that list. I don't have the list of topics that we were maybe going to do. So I'm sure there are other topics. I'm sure there are videos that were done that I wish that we could redo, because I think that some key bands were missed or some key distinctions weren't made. But I mean that's the beauty of it, is that it's a conversation and it's ever evolving. So it is what it is, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Let me think of that. But it came out very well in the end, though. Actually, there was some that actually came out that I actually was like, you know what, the list was actually really good.
Hell yeah, thanks, man. Hell yeah.
Well, of course, and like I gotta say, like the videos that you're also involved in, like I really love what you do in those videos and what really goes on because I gotta say you are very smart and you are very amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I try to like my main thing that I try to do is that I try to walk the line between like being very insightful and saying a lot of like smart things about the music, but then also recognizing that it's fucking YouTube, so you're entertaining people, so you got to get some jokes in there, but you got to get the jokes in a way that doesn't take away from the overall review. So it's like the review comes first, but you got to get your jokes in because you got to make people smile. Because I wouldn't want to personally just sit there and watch me just say, and the next part is very cool, and this part is great because of this. Like that gets kind of boring. So it's like music first, but then I think finding the jokes and like how to say stuff in a fun way is almost as important as that. So
Oh yeah, of course. And one other thing I wanted to ask actually, have you been listening to? Did you ever listen to the new Morbid Angel album?
I've heard it. I've listened to it. It's not like I listen to it all the time, like regularly, but I've heard it. I don't dislike it as much as Blaine disliked it. But I also don't listen to it all the time. So it is what it is. I think it's a good album. It's cool. It's not my favorite album ever. It's not the worst thing ever. It's cool. I mean, I'm probably not gonna if I'm gonna listen to Morbid Angel. It's not usually going to be the one that I listen to, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that I have my preferences already.
No, of course. Like also like I gotta say I want to ask one other thing. Like what would you say is actually one of your like favorite concert experiences?
Uh the year I turned 27, my birthday is May 27th, so I turned 27 this year, which is like what do they call it, like your champagne birthday or your golden birthday, whatever the hell they call it. I went to Maryland Death Fest that year. Morbid Angel actually played, and yeah, so on the day that I turned 27, I saw Insect Warfare do a reunion, which is really cool. I love them, and generally that entire festival was really rad. Who else played that year? I mean, shit, man, I've seen so many festivals that they all kind of blend together. But I know for a fact that Genocide Pact played that year. They were one of the ones that I was very excited about because they had not yet come up to Canada, and they did after that, which is cool. Insect Warfare. I also saw fucking Invincible on on my birthday. We got Autopsy played, Vader played. Shit, man, yeah, there was a lot of cool fucking bands. Terrorizer, Exhumed. Yeah, dude, that was cool. What else? What else do we got? We got the A389 10th anniversary bash. That was cool. It was Integrity played, and it was their reunion with the Melnick brothers who played in that band. All Out War, Power Trip, Bloodlet, Full of Hell, Homewrecker, Haymaker, Sex Prisoner, Empire of Rats, Noisem, Weekend Nachos. That was a cool ass show. The Decibel 100th issue celebration was Converge. And when Converge were playing, John Baisley from Baroness came out and played. It was his first time performing on stage after their bus crash. So yeah, Converge, Repulsion, Pig Destroyer, Municipal Waste, Tombs, and Evoken. That was really cool. The year that I turned 28, my birthday weekend, I went to Montreal and I went to see the Devastation on the Nation tour. So Aborted played alongside Disentomb, Ingested, and Venom Prison, Psychroptic, and a couple other bands. And then the next day, there was a show that was, Integrity, Chokehold, Sect, Sanction, Bloodlet. Xibalba were supposed to play, but they dropped off, so Eternal Sleep played. And that was cool. That was a really good weekend. You know, obviously the tour, the Decibel tour where Converge and At the Gates played, like those are two of my favorite bands. I don't even know how many notifications I got on the internet that when that was announced. You know, people just tagged me, be like, oh, Brad, you got to go to this. And like, I'm going to go to that. That was cool. Shit, man. The first ever At the Gates, like, when they reunited, that was cool. Like their first tour back when they played Toronto, that was a cool one. I didn't have a ticket by the time it sold out because I didn't know how I was going to get to Toronto. I didn't live there at the time, so I ended up just taking the bus down there, and I sat outside of the venue for from like 1:00 in the afternoon onwards, hoping that somebody would have a ticket that they could sell me. And then At the Gates tour manager, I ended up asking him if he had a ticket. I didn't know he was the tour manager at the time. I was like, hey, do you got a ticket? He said, you don't have a ticket? I said, no. He goes, 1 sec, I'll put you on guest list. So he put me on the guest list, which was very cool. And I tried to buy him, dinner or cigarettes or something. And he was just like, just buy merch, man, just buy merch. So I bought a lot of merch. That was cool. When 18 Visions played their first show back, I flew out to California for that. And that was cool as hell. I went to that, and I got to go visit like record labels that I've worked with a bunch, like Metal Blade and Nuclear Blast and Century Media, and all these people that I've worked with through, working in the industry. I got to go visit their offices and meet them in person and hang out. So that was cool. Shit, man. One time I saw, it was Xibalba, Power Trip, and Alpha Omega. They played it in this guy's grandma's house in Niagara, because the show was supposed to be at a place in Toronto called the Devil's Cellar, but the day that the show was supposed to happen, that place stopped doing shows. If I remember correctly, there were some complaints from their neighbors from some EDM shows that they had, people being loud and obnoxious. So they stopped doing all shows, so we didn't have a venue for the show the day of. And I remember I was at work, and I would run to the back and check my phone to see if anybody had figured out a venue for the show to happen at, because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. And then this guy Patrick, his grandma said that they could do it at her house. So I saw, Xibalba, Alpha and Omega, and Power Trip in a guy's grandma's house. That was cool.
Now that had to be quite an awesome experience. Like having, like just doing it at someone's house instead of like a huge venue.
Yeah, dude. Shit, man. I've been to This Is Hardcore. 3 times. The one year it was the reunion of Disembodied and Martyr AD, Pulling Teeth, and that was really cool. Race Trader played, which is Andy from Fall Out Boy. It's like his old metalcore band. So I saw Andy from Fall Out Boy play in a venue in Philadelphia called Kung Fu Necktie, which is like really small. So it was probably the smallest room that dude's played in and had played in a very long time. That was really cool. I don't know, man. I could go on and on. I feel like I've been to a lot of cool shows. So
yeah, they do sound like a lot of amazing shows. Actually, that sounds like it was all like a great time.
Yeah, dude. It was it's been fun. I've done a lot of traveling and stuff, and I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to do that. So
Awesome. Like, have you ever been to any like actually black metal concerts?
Uh, yeah. I've seen Imperial Triumphant, which I fucking love. I actually saw them. What was it? It might have been Quebec Death Fest. Yeah. So yeah, I went to Quebec Death Fest, and they played Quebec Death Fest. I think they played Quebec Death Fest. I saw them in Montreal for sure. Imperial Triumphant is one of my favorite modern bands. I know I've seen like Dimmu Borgir and this and that, and what other fucking black metal bands have I seen? I don't know. I've seen Watain. They didn't have too much blood, which is good because that shit's gross. I don't want to get covered in fucking animal blood. I don't care how not metal that makes me. Um, I've seen a bot. I've seen Behemoth. I saw Behemoth play a house show actually. They played this guy up here named George Strombolopoulos. He used to be on our like the Canadian equivalent to MTV called Much Music, and he'll sometimes have big bands play at his house. So I've seen at his house. I saw Behemoth played once, and you had to have corpse paint on to go. So Banger hired like a professional makeup artist to do some of our corpse paint, and we got to go, and that was cool. There's pictures of that on my Instagram. And I've also seen Power Trip at his house and the Melvins at his house, which was cool. I'm trying to think of what other black metal bands I've seen. I'm sure there are a few, but I don't listen to that much. Straight ahead black metal. Uh, Anal Nathrak have some black metal elements, but they also have grindcore elements, and every extreme metal subgenre element, industrial as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I've seen some other black metal bands, but that's all I'm remembering off the top of my head.
Awesome, because I actually had a chance to see I think it was like yeah, I think back in 2018 or 17 actually I had a chance to see Mayhem actually during one of their tours actually during that year.
Nice. Yeah, they were supposed to play at my work before this whole coronavirus thing. They were supposed to play with Gate Creeper, and it was on the Decibel tour. Who else was on that? Gate Creeper, Idle Hands, and Avat. Yeah, so that was supposed to play at the venue I work at in Toronto, but it's not happening now because coronavirus. So I think that would have been my first time seeing Mayhem, and I mean, it would have been interesting to see, just to say that I'd seen them, even though I don't actively listen to them very much. That being said, I think their new album is cool. It's cooler than most of the other more recent stuff that they've done. So
Oh yeah, like I felt like the newest album basically brought back the it kind of to me it kind of sounded like in it kind of sounded like the Mysterious Dome Satanis except like a part 2 to it.
hell yeah, yeah. No, it's a bit more experimental, which I think is more interesting. So
Oh yeah, exactly. Also one other thing I want to ask, like, when it comes to like when it comes to certain like metal genres, actually, like, which one do you mostly listen to more than the other?
like I was saying earlier, death metal, metallic hardcore, and like grindcore, and any kind of combination thereof, and any kind of blackened influence on something, blackened crust punk, death metal mixed with black metal, blackened this, blackened that. I like all that shit. So, but yeah, death metal. Probably the thing I listen to the most is stuff related to death metal. So, death metal, old school death metal, deathcore, tech death, anything death metal is probably like the number one.
Nice. What do you think of Slam? Actually, Slam Death.
Slam's cool. I think that it's one of the genres where you can do a pretty good job pretty easily, but it's hard to kind of stand out. It's hard to stand above the pack. But I do I like it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good death metal bands. I just found the genre by mistake. Actually, like I was just like scrolling through like YouTube, typing in most brutal death metal bands, and then all of a sudden like a whole like suggestion of Slam just came up in this compilation video, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that this genre even existed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool as hell. It's really heavy. I did an interview for Kerrang, about misogyny in brutal death metal and like brutal deathcore and stuff. And I interviewed Devourment about it, and they were like, yeah, some of our early lyrics suck. Like all we sang about was like raping and killing women, basically, and that's not cool. That's not what we were. We didn't mean to be like that. It was just like they kind of basically said that it was a race to be more and more extreme, and that kind of manifested in the that's kind of how it manifested in singing a lot about hurting women. And they were like, yeah, like it wasn't supposed to be like that. So on their new album, they actually have a song where a woman is about to be assaulted and she turns around and kills the dude. So I thought that was really cool. So, but yeah, man, there's tons of slam and brutal death that I think is really cool.
Oh yeah, of course. Like one other band which I really thought was really heavy was Sleepo Incubation.
I don't even know that one, man. Sounds familiar, but it sounds like a lot of the band names. I'm sure I would like them as well. But yeah, I don't know. Analepsy is really cool. I think that you might like Brand of Sacrifice because they are a deathcore band and they have a lot of elements of that, but they also have like they do slam parts here and there, like those like super brutal parts, and then I don't know, man. I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, now I'm getting more excited to hearing what they're going to sound like.
Yeah, man, hell yeah. No, and then there's I don't know. Internal Bleeding obviously is sick. I don't know, man. Fucking brutal death metal's cool.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Actually, I remember watching the Lockhorn hit segment on brutal death metal, and there was a lot of good bands actually being shown.
Who did that? Was that the one that Cam did?
Oh yes, that was the one.
Yeah, Cam's cool. He's a lot. He's very picky. He's very picky with what he likes. He'll like a band, but he'll only like their first demo and maybe half the first album. So he's really picky, which I respect. That he knows so much of the brutal stuff that he only likes some of that stuff. And then there are some bands that kind of they were brutal and they have elements of brutal, but then they kind of go in a more technical direction or whatever. Deeds of Flesh. They've always been like technically proficient and they were a little bit more brutal, but then they got a lot more shreddy, and I think that that's kind of when he lost interest. Like he was really into like their first couple albums, and then or maybe even just their demos. I don't even remember. I remember watching it though, and he was like, "Yeah, I like this and this," and I was like, "Yo, I like all their shit, man." I don't even know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, are you looking forward to that documentary he's making?
Yeah, dude, it'll be cool. We've talked about it. I mean, maybe I'll be interviewed for it. We've talked about potentially setting up an interview with some banger people and stuff, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'm sure it'll be cool though.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That's actually one of my top big things to look forward to in the future is actually that documentary.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I'm sure he would be happy to hear that.
Oh no, doubt. I actually had a chance to speak with him actually on Facebook actually quite a bit actually, and I told him what I actually think and how excited I am for the documentary.
Hell yeah, dude. That's sick.
Oh, of course, and like if you follow the page the Growl, he actually does live streams with and interviews with other bands.
Yeah. I've seen some of those. I've seen some of that. I've seen that popping up in my shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see him at shows sometimes here and there. He's a cool ass dude.
oh yeah, he's awesome. I love what he does, and he's really great at what he does on his interviews during the time when he does that actually on his Facebook page.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I'd like to like catch up on them and watch more of them, but I'm busy sometimes, so I haven't seen them all yet. But over time, I'll hopefully catch up on everything that he's done.
Oh yeah, of course. Also, this is another question I wanted to ask. I've asked a lot of people about this on what their view on it was and what they thought about it. Have you seen the movie Lords of Chaos?
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't know. I don't know how historically accurate it is. I think it kind of portrayed those dudes as what they were, which was fucking teenagers and children trying to be evil. So I think a lot of black metal people didn't like it because it showed off these people who they think are like these like mythical creatures that are like godlike, and it showed them for what they were, which is people with families who thought that they were fucking losers and they were just trying to be extreme. And I viewed it more as a comedy than anything. I mean, obviously the death scene is pretty brutal, but yeah, I don't know. I'm also not a movie critic, dude. Like, I don't care if a movie keeps me like entertained for an hour and a half. It's good enough for me. I don't really care. But yeah, it didn't bother me. I mean, maybe I'm not being critical enough, but whatever. I thought it was funny. So
I thought it was actually very enjoyable. Actually, like I can care less about what other people think about it, like in a negative way. Like when someone says, "Oh, it ain't accurate," or it's like, "This isn't what it's supposed to be." Like I find it as a very enjoyable film, and as it actually came out to be.
yeah, no, it was. I'll probably watch it again at some point in my life. So
Oh, of course, I like to ask other people on what they think about it because I always like to hear like a different perspective of what they thought about it.
hell yeah,
And let me just think. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna actually end it off right here.
cool, man, cool. Thanks for having me. Hope you have a good day, and I'm sure I'll talk to you in the future.
Oh, of course, and I gotta say, thank you very much for doing this. I can't even tell you how much I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. It was fun. I just been chilling today, working on stuff. So it's like a nice little break to just go and shoot the shit for a while, and then now I'm gonna go back and do more work. So
Awesome. Well, I hope to hear from you again, man. I really do appreciate you doing this.
yeah, no worries, dude. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, of course. Have a great, phenomenal rest of your day.
You too. Peace, dude.
All right, see you around.
Subscribe.